Welcome to the Red Light Exposé podcast.
We are an international grassroots survivor-led circle.
Our goal is to counter the growing acceptance of sex work ideology.
We aim to raise awareness of the harms of commercializing sex,
meaning prostitution, porn, stripping, and BDSM.
Through honest, in-depth conversations,
we elevate voices often ignored and silenced.
Together, we're challenging stereotypes and dismantling myths.
We envision a healthier, safer society, especially for women and girls.
We appreciate your company on this journey. Hello and welcome back to the Red Light Exposé podcast. My name is Ellie Arrow. I'm an activist against sexual exploitation in Germany. And today I'm speaking with Yeonhwa Gong from South Korea. Yeonhwa Gong is currently completing a master's degree in Women and Gender Studies at Cheongnam National University in South Korea. And she's written extensively about South Korean women's movements, including the 4B movement, which is a somewhat more recent movement by South Korean women defying systematic misogyny in their country and going through what is by outsiders perceived as a radical move to actually stop dating men altogether. She's also written about the less known Yangmangjolsi movement, meaning ambition exhibition, which is a movement of South Korean women talking about breaking the glass ceiling, as well as defying gender norms. She became interested in the subject of misogyny and became an activist when, like a lot of women, she started noticing the extreme online misogyny of South Korean men that intensified in the 2010s. We will, in this episode, talk about some similarities between Germany and South Korea. But yeah, this is a podcast about sexual exploitation. So the topic that we will start with is getting a sense of the commercial sexual exploitation industry in South Korea. But we firmly believe that all these different cultural issues, online misogyny, online hate movements, the wider culture, including the just global scourge that is the Madonna whore complex, where some women are good wifeys and some women are good, whores. All those things connect, so we will be going into that. Hi, thank you so much for coming on. Let's dive right in and talk about prostitution in South Korea. So when we were chatting before this episode, you told me that you lived close to a red light district, a prostitution area. What does a South Korean red light district look like, and what is it like living close to that?
Everyone in South Korea is living very close to prostitution because it has so many shops or karaokes. So there is no special meaning that I say that I live very close to where prostitution happens. I had lived in Daejeon, which is kind of a metropolitan city in South Korea. It has more than 150,000 people, and where I live, it has a hot spring. So near there are a lot of hotels. Many kind of business can happen near there. Important business holders are usually old men. So if they have any seminars or business meetings in hotel or something like that, they go to the restaurant for dinner, and after that they go room salon. I think this is kind of special thing in South Korea. This room salon is kind of cafe that many people can talk about their philosophy or something like that, their life. I thought that salon is that thing, but in Korea, that room salon is where the prostitution happens. Room salon means it has a large room that can have around 10 people inside. 4 or 5 guests visit, and then they can choose women. And they have fun with them. The ladies will sing inside of that room, or they can drink together. Also, they do some kind of not sex, but similar things to sex, like something kind of order something or dancing without clothes like that. Anything can happen inside that room. So this is very usual thing in South Korea for old men. My university is located in that area. I could see many of room salons there. Sometimes after I finish my work, then I came home at 9 or 10 p.m. It is also usual for South Koreans. So very late finishing job. At the time, I could see many vans there, large vehicles that carry the ladies who works in that room salons. In front of the subway station, there were two large room salons. They were very popular. Always there were the vans, the large vehicles to carry ladies. But in front of the subway station exit, there was also a bus station. So those kind of parking is illegal. So sometimes I took pictures of that car and sent them to the public office. So I cannot make them stop to run that room salon, but I can do something for disadvantage for them. Yeah, because it was in very large road, in a main road of our area, police must know that there are room salons, but they don't stop them. They don't take any gesture to stop that business. So I just wanted to do something. So I took the pictures of illegal parkings.
That does sound familiar to me also as someone who's lived in Japan. And in Japan, you have these so-called love hotels, these kind of weird looking hotels, often at the outskirts of cities. And they have different themes like, I don't know, a church theme or a flower power theme. I've seen that with my own eyes just driving past. And yes, these are places, like hourly hotels where couples who don't have a private space to sleep together where they can go, but it's also a place for prostitution, and everybody knows that. And the same for karaoke. So karaoke bars in Japan have a lot of, you actually book a private booth, basically. You're not there singing in front of like 25 other strangers. You're there with your mates. Or you're there with your partner. And again, some of these places are for couples who are still living at home. But they're also places for prostitution, even some internet cafes. So yeah, that's the kind of infrastructure that the sexual exploitation industries use. Not the only infrastructure that they use, but one that they like, provides a good cover story. And at the same time, it's like an open secret.
There is another city, Changwon, that is very industrial area. So it has many factories to make cars or some machines. And there is something popular thing. So the first floor of the building is restaurant, just usual restaurant. And second floor is room salon. And third, fourth floor is love hotel, like you said. So the old men can do what they want in one building.
Yeah.
And there are so many buildings like that. So yeah, it was very famous about that. That city is very famous about that. And also, I wanted to say about my city, Daejeon. Daejeon is located in the middle of South Korea. So many people know about Seoul and Busan. Seoul is very near to the North Korea, so it's very northern part of South Korea, and Busan is very southern part of South Korea. And Seoul is the capital of our country, and Busan is second largest city in South Korea. And Daejeon is located in the middle of them. So 100 years ago, the work started to make a railroad to connect the Seoul and Busan. So they started this job for a long time, and there were many workers for construct this railroad near the Daejeon station. So there is red light districts because there were many male workers for the railroad construction, there have been that red light district near to Daejeon Station. It have been for 100 years now, and I heard that it is very cheap there because it is very old area for prostitution. So you can only pay 25 US dollar to have one sex. It is very cheap. So I heard that one of my senior in my university said to my ex-boyfriend that if you want to have a sex, you can go there and you can only pay $25 or $30. If you pay less, you can meet some woman who has only one arm. He said this lady as a product. Yeah. It was so creepy to me. Why this senior said this to my ex-boyfriend and why this ex-boyfriend is saying this to me. But yeah, at that time I was 19, 20 years old, so I didn't know what to say about this. It is very strange information for me that I said to my ex-boyfriend. But anyway, I could know that those things are happening in this area. Several years after, once I passed through those area, and at that time my hair was very short, an old woman was sitting on the chair, and she just called me, "Hey, just take a rest here." So I knew what it means, so I said that I'm a woman. So she said, "Oh, it's a lady. Just let go. I will let go." This was happening so easily there. Once, and my male friend was having some street food near there, and an old woman came to there, and she said, "A lady is so pretty." So my male friend thought that my girlfriend, because right beside him there was his girlfriend. So my girlfriend, he asked her, so oh, you have a girlfriend, and she went away. So it is very easily happening, and they even try to make more guests like this. These old women are working as a pimp. They also earn very small money, but anyway, they want to catch more. So they are working like this. The prostitutes in this area earns very small money, as you can imagine, because they only earn 25 to $30. Then maybe they divide that money with the pimp, and also they should pay for the room. Yeah, so very poor people are living there. So some of my friends who are also feminist activists, they work for independence for those women, and they told many things about this prostitution, and it is very poor and unwealthy. Also, their health is not so good there. Sometimes they have no windows in their room, and the room is very small. And also, they have very bad contract with their pimp. If they want to stop this work, they cannot stop this thing to pay back for the pimp. So it is the reality of prostitution in South Korea. Yes.
All right, that really paints a picture of prostitution in South Korea, yes. But it does sound familiar to me as someone who's from Germany, grew up here, has lived most of her life here. As in, yeah, I know what it's like to have to go through the red light district to reach a different part of town, like often around train stations in Germany. We got strip clubs and brothels. In Germany, they don't need to pretend to be something else, usually. Anyway, we do have places that openly advertise as brothels. Though some of them, they on the outside it'll say sauna club, but people know it's a brothel and it's registered as a brothel. Yeah, so every day on my way to university, I would be going past one of the biggest brothels in the south of Germany. And I would see the guys, the shady looking men in their big, big cars, picking up the women. And actually, now that we're talking, I remember also in my area, there was an escort agency just a couple of streets away, and they were actually putting up stickers routinely telling women to come to them for a job, saying if you're a student, you need money, you should come to them. So open advertising to recruit for prostitution. And yet about all these things, the fishy men with the big cars, the stickers, nobody really did anything. But why would they? It's legal, right? But in South Korea, prostitution is illegal, technically, right? For all participants. So whoever is running the room salon, technically a criminal, the buyer, technically a criminal, and the women themselves, technically criminals. Is that right?
Sure, it is illegal, but it is everywhere and we can see that. It's not even hidden. So we can see that everywhere. It is also located in main road. Sometimes I saw that some of police officers were passing in front of that massage room, but they don't take any gesture for that. So they don't care about that. And I heard that many of those kind of prostitution is related to the gangs of that area. So they have connection. I guess they have connection with police officers. Yeah, that is another kind of prostitution, massage room. So we should check that it is prostitution or not. Massage room, there also the man can choose women by iPad. They can choose women by their picture, and then they should pay about $130 or $140 for that massage. But it is not massage at all. It is just sex. Yeah, buying sex. That kind of thing was in the main road of our area too. And the name was Tokyo Massage Room. I don't know why it has Tokyo Massage Room name. Yeah.
This is just my theory, but could that be because of the global popularity of Japanese porn? It's a thing in Germany too, where German men really want to buy access to a woman from Japan. They would pay more for a woman who is from a developed Asian nation over someone who's from a poor Asian nation. So they'll pay more if it's harder to get a woman from that place due to relative better economic conditions. This has led to women in German prostitution pretending to be Japanese when they're actually Vietnamese, Thai, or, from a poor part of China. So the women in South Korean prostitution, can you tell us something about them? Where are they from, their backgrounds, what leads them into the sexual exploitation industries?
I think most of them are Korean. I think there are many kind of background stories, but some serious kind of incident happened recently. That there is a Han River in Seoul. So it is very large, big river, and there are so many parks around there. What is the famous river in Germany?
The Danube?
Oh yeah, Danube. Yeah, like that. It is very large and big river in Seoul, that Han River. And around the Han River, there are many parks and elementary school students. So it is kind of primary school. So they are around 7 to 11 years old. They were just playing around that park. And some of them were kidnapped. They were used for the prostitution. So it was so shocking because we knew that there are some kind of not adult, like teenagers are working in that industry, but we didn't know that can happen in the middle of this big city. In Korea, there everywhere there are CCTVs, so we can easily catch any thieves or some kind of illegal things. But that happened in the middle of Seoul, so we were very shocked about that. And if teenager is working in the prostitution industry, they maybe escaped from their house or from family, so they don't have somewhere to go. So the pimps contact them by Telegram or WhatsApp, and they just persuade them that I can pay for you and I can give you somewhere to sleep. Yeah, they start work as prostitute. But in this case, they were just kidnapped and they were so young because they are just elementary school students. So we were shocked, but also that incident gives some awareness or realization for public.
Yeah, that also sounds familiar to what we're seeing in Germany. And it is really, really serious when children are being kidnapped off the street, but it's kind of frustrating to us as women who work on this issue that the public will only really take a closer look when it's something as extreme as that. And if the victim is not kidnapped, if they're just poor, or if they're an adult, then there's often a lot of victim blaming. Yeah, people just underestimate that developed nations like Germany or South Korea can still have a lot of poverty, really serious poverty. And South Korea in particular, right, has one of the biggest gender pay gaps between men and women, like a lot of female-specific poverty in South Korea. Like you said, the job market is tough. It's a really tough work culture. So if somebody's poor, if somebody's traumatized and they can't make the grind, the South Korean grind, then it's understandable that they might slip into exploitation. And it's not their fault. But I want to move on to another topic, though it's adjacent, and that is the topic of Hallyu, right? The Korean wave, Korean pop culture. So K-pop, K-dramas, all the Korean pop culture being consumed worldwide right now. From what I've read, there are a lot of young people who want to get famous in this industry, but there are a lot of shady agencies that have caught on to that, and they're saying, oh, we will give you a career, but they're actually leading people into porn and prostitution. Can you tell us about that?
I think there are not many things that is revealed, but several years ago that there were famous singer, actress. They have some kind of hit songs, some filmography. There was a legal case about this, so they had to participate in kind of room salon meeting as a prostitute. There was one thing called Jang Jaeyeon incident. Jang Jaeyeon was an actress and she suicided. So before she suicide, she wrote some letter for public, and she wrote the name of some politicians who made her to do something that she didn't want. So there were many famous and high-level politicians in that letter, but after a few years later, they didn't get any punishment by court. So they ruled as not guilty. So she just died, but she wanted to be a star, but she has to do something that she doesn't want. And they didn't get any punishment by the law. So it is illegal thing, but people who has power doesn't get any disadvantage by that. Even there was a CEO of very large alcohol company. So I don't drink alcohol from that company. So they have power and money, so they can run their own business. They don't have any disadvantage by that incident. Yeah.
We want to take a brief moment to thank you for your listenership. As an independent volunteer collective, our episodes are only made possible because of donations from people like you. Please visit our website, www.redlightexposé.com, and click the donate button. Your support is greatly appreciated. And now, back to the episode.
So this is a topic that's really important to us on this show, namely that, okay, there is prostitution, overt prostitution in the massage parlors, in the room salons, okay, but there's also this filtering down of that mentality that affects all women, right? This idea of she needs money, I have money, or I have another type of power. I can give her a job in the entertainment industry, right? The Weinstein playbook. And let me see if that can enable me to access her body, right? So that affects all women and girls in society. I don't know if people who like Korean pop culture, and the reality is I do too, but over the years I've come to see the serious dark sides to it. I don't know if people realize just how fake a lot of it is, especially the personas that a lot of the K-pop men or the K-drama actors that they put on. A lot of these like cutesy, wholesome personas, and that, sure, not for every guy, but for far too many, this really sinister things hiding behind that. And the case that illustrates that you had top-notch Korean actors and singers being just the worst kind of misogynists, is the Burning Sun scandal, right? So the Burning Sun is a now very infamous nightclub in South Korea, frequented by famous people. Can you tell us what happened there?
I think the sad point of this Burning Sun Gate is that it was not revealed by a survivor of this Burning Sun problem. A man was beaten by guards of a Burning Sun club. I heard that he is kind of rich and he gets some resources to popularize this problem, that he just enjoyed something in the club, and I don't know why, but I can't remember because it is not important for me. Anyway, he was beaten by the guard, so he popularized this problem, that how can the personnel of club can beat their guests. So it was the first. Why is this happening here? So many journalists kind of reported about this problem, and many people have questioned about this. So why these guards of club has so much power in here, Burning Sun? So what's the problem here? So many people wondered about that, and some people tried to investigate about this. And there we could find that some people raped in this club, and drugs were used in this club. So it was very shocking thing in South Korea, because this Seungmi, the owner of this club, is very famous in South Korea and also in other parts of the world, and also in other parts of Asia.
Yeah, I grew up listening to Big Bang, so that was part of my youth. So they were like,
me too.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if NSYNC or One Direction, if those were the people in this case.
Yes, they have their own song, and they were kind of fashion icon, and their songs were pretty good. I thought so too. But also after he opened that club, he came to many kind of media, like some show program in South Korea, and he talked about his business, how he is doing this business, and how he is making this business very well. So he showed inside of this club to public, and he always bragged how he is successful in this industry or this club, for this club. But it was revealed that he was keeping this popularity of club by selling female guests who didn't want those kind of sex or rape. So there were VIP room inside of that club, and if that VIP wants, the personnel of this club just give some drug to women, female guests, and These women lose her consciousness, then they drag them to the VIP room. So there they could do what they want, anything. So sometimes I heard that those men, VIPs, hit someone just for fun, also raping. So many kind of terrible things happened in that VIP room. So if this one man was not beaten, we maybe never know what's happening in Burning Sun. So men should be beaten to know some truth. So it is kind of sad point for me. Even there were so many survivors, victims of this raping, but we couldn't know about this.
So the small good news is that Seungri, he was sentenced, right? He went to court, he was sentenced. However, he got such a short sentence that he's already out, right? This only happened a few years ago and he's already running around free. And we're talking about the organized serial rape of unconscious women, and that just gets you a couple of years. If I had control over sentencing, that would get you life, or at least, a decade in prison. Instead, no, it's like 2 to 3 years. And it was not just him, right? It was all his famous friends. This was organized raping of women in order to do some kind of horrific male bonding, essentially, right? All these chat messages between the men discussing what they were doing. And yeah, this is a common outcome of the justice system, not just in South Korea. This happens in Germany too. Rape, that gets you a slap on the wrist. Like, you can be lucky if these guys even get sentenced. So, am I right that Seungri is already running around free?
So he was sued for 8 illegal things. It includes embezzlement and raping or prostitution and everything, but he had lived only for 1 year and 8 months in the jail. So, wow, it is so easy for him. And now I heard that he is opening another business. I think it is related to brewing alcohol in Malaysia. So it is so easy for him to be illegal. So it is not for a big deal for him. Because, yeah, he has a background, like he said in the messages, Yoon Goo-geun. Yoon Goo-geun is a high-level officer in police. Also, he worked in Blue House, which is president's office. He has a lot of power in South Korea, so he forgiven by the court very easily. And I want to introduce another case, Miki Yuchon, name is Yuchon Park, who was in 동방신기 boy band. They were like rival of Big Bang, but they have totally different concept. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, he was sued for the raping, and he raped 4 women who works in the room salon. So many people didn't believe that men can rape prostitute. Yeah, some men just advocated this Mikyuchan because inside of the room salon, anything can happen, and they believe that they can do anything because they had paid. So yeah, after that, this Mikyuchan couldn't work anymore as an actor or as a singer. No work for this. I don't know where he is, but I don't want to know it too. Anyway, yeah, that was very shocking because he was always sweet. He did something cute things in front of women, but he really enjoyed to go to rooms alone, as we can know this in this incident, because he raped 4 women, 4 prostitutes. So he cannot play any roles in movie or drama. Yes.
And you would think that the end to a rapist's career is the absolute least punishment that he deserves, right? It frustrates me so much to hear those comments from South Korean people saying, well, women in prostitution, right, they can't really be raped. This is such a common attitude. There's research on this asking sex buyers, and a frightening proportion of them believe women in prostitution cannot be raped, that they're machines, right? Their bodies can take it. They're tougher than other people. They don't feel pain as much. They don't have complex emotional lives. They don't have boundaries the same as other people. But it's not just sex buyers. Wider society believes this too. And this is really the only way that we can stand idly by and just let this happen to women. We have to other them. The industry itself demands that we other them, or, we would do something about it. And this reminds me of a famous case in Germany that just happened, or that just became public. And there are accusations, so these are not confirmed in court, so I'll say these are alleged. So alleged cases of the lead singer of Germany's most famous band, Rammstein, drugging and raping female fans after shows. These accusations, that is serious enough, but the discourse about them was really upsetting as well, because there were German people commenting, look, if you have a fetish for simulated rape, for putting a woman on like GHB or whatever that date drug is called, and then using her body, her limp body, which is something that the lead singer has written songs about. So his defenders say that's just art and he didn't really do that. Of course, we don't know for sure what he did, but yeah, those are the accusations. But anyway, people were saying, if that is your fetish, if you like that, dude, just pay a prostitute and tell her, look, take this, and then I'll do this and this and this to your body while you're unconscious, and then it's all cool. Which I think is insanity and just dehumanizing. But let's move on to the next topic that connects to all of this, which once again shows us that the prostitution mentality, the women as public goods mentality, affects everyone. And that is the subject of molka. And so molka is a way to refer to the widespread practice in South Korea of men buying very cheap, small cameras, which they then install in a public bathroom, a changing room, or a hotel. And these cameras can actually live stream. So this is a voyeurist's wet dream, to be able to watch women who don't know they're being filmed in really private situations. Yeah, can you tell us more about molka and what that means for South Korean women and girls?
I know these IT industries are very well developed in South Korea. Like we made Samsung or LG television, washer, everything. But also they are making this small camera, very micro small cameras. And it is very easy to buy. You only pay $15 for these small cameras. And also these days everybody carries their own phone. So they can take molka, this Spycam, everywhere. Now I'm living in Australia. I can see that industrial products are very expensive here. It is cheaper in South Korea and it is easy to buy. Everywhere you can buy that. So I think the Korean men have strange fetish to take pictures of others. It is also prevalent. Several days ago, university students took pictures of women's body in the women's toilet, the public toilet for women. So he caught. And also teacher of elementary school student took 1,000 pictures of their students. So he was sued. So it's everyday happening thing in South Korea. I don't know why, but this Korean men think that they have right to take picture of others. They use their smartphone in the public toilet, or as you said, they can use this small camera and they just install that in the love hotel. They pay for some hours and they install that. And after that, some couple will come in and they can record those things happen inside of that love hotel. Or sometimes they install this small camera inside of their shoes. So they punch a small hole in front of these shoes, and they can take pictures of under the skirt of women. This is prevalent too. Sometimes they install their camera inside of the bag, and they take pictures when they are walking on the steps, so they can take behind the back of women. So there are thousands, hundreds, millions of pictures online, South Korea. It is very easy, and you know that this iPhone sounds to take a picture in South Korea. We cannot turn it off. So when we go outside of our country, then it doesn't sound. This iPhone know that you are in safe country. Yeah, it automatically works. Like Japan or China, just outside of South Korea, this phone knows that, so it doesn't sound. But inside of South Korea, it sounds like did it. 2018, there was incident that there was a website named WebHard. So it is an online hard driver. So you can upload many things there and you can save them there. For me, I use that website for work. So we can transfer our works, some kind of design project, like large files, we can transfer or we can just send if we share the ID and password. So for me, it was those kind of website. But for some strange or normal men in South Korea, they upload like millions of those kind of molka on that site. And then some people could find their pictures there. Some women can find pictures of them. So if she found that and then she want to delete those pictures, maybe the writer of or owner of that post will not delete that. So she has to go to the name of this company was Digital Funeral Director, Undertaker. So they delete molka online. So they find all of these molkas online, include WebPart website, and then they delete everything. But apparently in 2018, we could find that this WebPart site and Digital Funeral Director company has same CEO.
No.
So they could earn money.
Oh my
They
God.
could earn money by selling women's molka and also deleting their pictures.
That's disgusting. So the tech bros will create the problem and then they'll sell you the cure. And there's so much more that we could talk about. We cannot cover everything that South Korean women are currently going through. But yeah, I just want to take the moment for people to try and imagine what it's like to be a woman or a girl in South Korea. So more than half of the men you interact with every day are using the prostitution industry. The vast majority are using the porn industry, and regular porn is bad enough, right? We're in the era of normalized gonzo porn. So violent porn is unfortunately a global norm. But on top of that, there's the molka that's being treated as porn. And it's not just one or two guys consuming this. I read studies about this, and the earnings of the men who run the molka sites are pretty good. They're making decent money. So it cannot be a handful of voyeurists, right? The individual perp in a basement somewhere. This is actually on an organized scale. And how would you feel if you lived in a country where you were living with the constant anxiety of being filmed in your most private everyday moments, like using a public restroom, using a hotel? Molka can also be filmed in private homes. Occasionally, a camera is snuck into a private home. It's not surprising then that there's a lot of angry South Korean women and girls and their allies fighting back against this. And so molka specifically led to some of the biggest women-only protests in South Korean history, with the hashtag, with the slogan, "Not your porn. My life is not your porn." And South Korean women have been quite savvy trying to fight back, and they've been developing new methods of protest. At the same time, there's been a backlash, right? So you have a lot of South Korean men feeling really undermined by this big new wave of feminism, and the politicians have caught up to this. And so there was an election where the right-wingers, who were very explicitly anti-feminists, took over power. And so can you tell us more about this political battle around all these issues?
I said that this web art and digital funeral director things happened in 2018. As you said, there was the largest protest about this. 110,000 women were gathered in the Gwanghwamun, which is very central part of Seoul, and they protested about that for several times from summer to winter. But the Blue House, the presidential office of South Korea, didn't answer about this. And we could find a report about this protest from the Blue House, but they didn't take any action. And after that, we could know about the Burning Sun Gate. I think many women felt depressed because they tried a lot, even in the winter, even in the summer. They went out for this. They protested, but it was not successful because there was no action. So they were very depressed. And even there, in 2020, COVID-19 came. So we could not meet each other. So we couldn't gather and we couldn't be connected. This movement declined. And in 2021, there is a company called GS, which has large chain of convenience store. They were selling some camping food in 2021. So they made a poster about that. And in the poster, there was an illustration of picking up a sausage. And that was, like this. Maybe many people know about this gesture of hand. Some online male users thought that this is making fun of Korean men's small penis. So they protested about this and they complained about this to the GS company. And the illustrator have made a statement that I'm not a feminist and I didn't mean to it like that. And also the GS company, it is very large company, and they made also statement about apologizing to Korean men. Also, the politicians reacted very sensitively about this problem. They had discussion about this. Why these hate expressions are a problem in South Korea like this? Because they love so much Korean men, their sons. They cherish their sons. So, these politicians had discussion about this in radio, TV. So at that time, again, many Korean women felt depression because they tried a lot before that. The politicians never listened. The politicians didn't want to be marked as feminist. So they didn't take any action. Only small amount of politicians take action. And then this illustration made big wave. So many people depressed. After that, in 2022, there was an election for Korean president. Around 70% of Korean men in their 20s picked this president, Yoon Suk-yeol. He is right-wing. He was not a politician, so he doesn't know much about politics, and also he doesn't have any philosophy about politics. So we guess that if there's some kind of advantage or profit for Yoon Suk-yeol, this President Yoon Suk-yeol, he was a public prosecutor general. He worked for the prosecution. He doesn't think about people or citizens. And because he could be elected by those right-wing men, he has to say about anti-feminism. I guess that's why he is trying to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. He get rid of many kind of subsidies for women and youth, also teenagers and family. So kind of weak people in our society.
And then people ask, why aren't South Korean women having babies? Would you want to have a baby in a climate like that? Of course, anything affecting a birth rate is always multifactorial, but how can somebody crop out misogyny from this picture? And I really hate this framing that seems to be both the framing in South Korea and abroad, which is that this is a gender war. But women aren't killing men, right? They're just not dating them. And okay, women might be writing angry comments, experimenting with some reverse sexism online, but men are making porn of women in revenge. So this is not, an equal fight. This is just such a terrible situation.
This birth rate dropped quickly in just several years. In 2015, this feminism was popularized in South Korea. And in 2016, Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs made a report about how to increase this birth rate, because at that time, the birth rate was terrible too. This institute run by budget from government. This institute works for the government policy, and it has a solution that said these days women learn too much. There are so many highly educated women, so they don't want to marry a man who has no education. So they said that we have some kind of strategy to make highly educated women marry unhighly educated men. So we should make some kind of media drama, K-drama, that shows that highly educated women can marry just normal men. Yeah, that was from the Korea Institute for the Public Policy. Also, there was a map for the women of childbearing age of South Korea. So if you see that map, there will be regions of South Korea. And in this region, there are 4,000 childbearing aged women. And in this region, 80,000 of childbearing aged women.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy. So even some women who says that I'm not a feminist, they said I'm not an animal or I'm not a machine for giving birth. Just in one day, that map has abolished, and this map was from that same institution. And several days ago, this institution has released another report for increasing birth rate. It said that if women goes to school 1 year earlier than men, then when they become age for marriage, maybe they can feel more attractive to each other because women are more matured. So it was so crazy. Yeah, you can see the name and his position and his team in this institute too. So it was not a report, but it was kind of an essay or writing from that institute. So I couldn't believe that this editor and team leader, everyone just felt sure about this essay or writing.
Yeah, this is such a terrifying thing that can happen when the birth rate drops, where the focus is all on how can we control women's bodies, and none of it is about, well, how can we make it so that men arrive in the 21st century, right? Of course, we need an economy that works for everyone, that works for families and children in particular. But still, men need to change. Like, you cannot have a society full of mulka, full of Spycam porn, and then expect healthy relationships to be the norm. That's just not viable. And this cannot be the future. So has there ever been a movement to try and reform men, so to say, to work on empathy, to work on a healthy vision of masculinity, a healthy vision of relationships? Is anyone that's, publicly visible, that's making a splash? Is anyone doing that?
There is some program to deliver some food for men in 50s because they cannot cook. If they are alone, they don't have any wife, or they I know it's funny if they just divorced, if they are living alone, then some kind of public officers deliver some food for them. Yeah.
Why not a
It
cooking
is South
class?
Korea, so
It's 50s, not 80s. You can learn to cook. It is late, but you can learn it. So you'll have a good new skill.
Sure.
Yeah,
Because they know that they don't have any mentality to cook. There was a proverb that if a man goes into the kitchen, your penis will drop down. It's Korean proverb, yeah. It means that men cannot cook and women should provide foods for men. If man goes into a kitchen, penis will drop down. So he became a woman, it means. So only women can go into the kitchen and they can make food for family and her husband.
So, like castration anxiety, cooking will make you lose your phallus. Oh my God. That reminds me, I did want to ask about South Korean beauty culture, because one of the things that I found so impressive about watching the mass protests by South Korean women was some women taking actions such as cutting off their hair publicly or shaving it in protest. So like a real sign on the body that you're not okay with this and you're not gonna just shut up and take it. And then I also saw multiple reports of an anti-feminist counter-protester who was walking around in like a short skirt and a blonde wig, telling women, look, this is what you're supposed to look like. You're not looking like a real woman. Look, this is how a real woman dresses. Yeah, so can you give us some context for the wider beauty culture, the extreme beauty culture in South Korea? People might know South Korea is #1 in the world in regards to a lot of plastic surgery. But yeah, how does that play out in day-to-day life? And what is it like for women who say no to that?
There was quite serious problem for me too, because I did want to keep my weight under 52 kilograms.
So for those of you who use a different measure system, that would be 115 pounds.
And I received some pressure to be prettier and more beautiful. And there are so many cheap cosmetics in South Korea. It looks like cheap, but if you start to consume that, you have to buy that every month. There was a movement named Escape the Corset. I also participated in that movement. There was too much pressure about this beauty standard in South Korea. We should be skinny as a woman, and also we must know how to make up. We should wear very uncomfortable clothes because I'm woman. There are many kind of beauty standards. So these days it is trend middle face length. It is very important for South Korean women. You can see that there are chin and also forehead. So if the length of middle face is too long, maybe you look poor, not rich, or maybe you will not suitable for beautiful clothes, or maybe makeup will be harder to those people who have long middle face. So there are so many criteria. Your nipple and elbow should be pink, and the eyebrow should start from the start of eyes, and there is some specific angle where this eyebrow ends. And the size of eyes, length of nose, and color of lips, of course. Yeah, there are many criteria. So I heard that some of my friends went to hospital for obesity. There is special hospital chain named 365mc, and it works specifically for the obesity. But when my friend went to that hospital, there was no like fat people, just skinny people, because they have anorexia, because they have that. They just regularly visit there and they got shot or they receive some drugs for losing their weight. We need some fat, of course, for living. But Korean women think the fats are unnecessary for our life and for our beauty. So there are many pressure for this for me too. And always long hair are preferred by men. Me too, I kept long hair. But after I know that these pressures are working just for women, not for men, I was not born with long hair. Then maybe I can cut like just Korean men. So I just tried because I never tried short hair, just like Korean men. And I could see that there is no difference. I'm me, still me, and I have some characteristics, and also I have confidence. So there was no difference. So I could find that. All those clothes that are very uncomfortable or very cold, very thin clothes, I throw out all of them. I don't want to be women as wearing some kind of clothes specifically. So I just throw out all kind of garish clothes too. I know women can have any choice what they want to wear or what they want to be, but there are so many gender roles in this world, so maybe I can be the one who's not following that role. So I just threw out all of them. I just gave up to make up myself and all those cosmetics too. Then this man become very angry because I don't work for them. I don't wear for them and I don't make up for them. So I guess if they are angry, I'm working for smashing the patriarchy, I guess. Yeah. So I thought it is working. Some people say that that is only for the women who had some kind of money or power to make up their self. But I think it is very normal to make up pretty or buying cosmetics, and Koreans do very hard work on everything. So they compare every cosmetic brands and compare the price and qualities every time. So I thought that I don't have to work on this for my life, for my energy. So I just gave up everything. At that time, Instagram was very popular. Instagram was very suitable for escape the corset movement because we can show that. We can compare before and after participating in this movement. Many people participate this movement too. They cut and shaved their hair and they show that we don't have to grow our hair. Also, we can wear what we want and also comfortable and very practical clothes. But as I said, after 2020, the movement for feminism has declined. Some of people who participated in this escape the corset just went back. It is very surprising for me that suddenly 4B movement was highlighted by everyone in the world.
Can you just quickly, for people who don't know, give us the definition of 4B, what that movement stands for?
Yeah, 4B means no marriage, no sex, no dating, no birth. So no B in Korean, it means no. We don't do that 4 things for smashing the patriarchy. This 4B thing was popularized in TikTok. It is highlighting nowadays. So many people want to interview me or because I have thesis about this 4B. So it is kind of surprising for me that it is highlighted now, but I hope that this focus can encourage South Korean feminists because after 2020, after this president come, Many people just gave up to be feminist activists, and also they just gave up participating in feminist movement.
So, last question. How do you see the future of South Korea? Is there something that can be done? Is there something the international community can do to support South Korean women?
For me personally, there is no hope for South Korea. So, yeah, it's very sad, but that's why I evacuated from South Korea. But this government or President Yoon Suk-yeol or many old men in South Korea, they really care about others outside of the country, especially white people. They care about much. So if there are many critics from other countries, then maybe they feel shame. Even they don't feel shame, maybe they should change something to show to other part of the world. I hope you guys make many words like articles or like you making podcasts or many kind of journalist things can help South Korean women, I guess.
So I will put your Twitter handle in the description so people can find you, if that's all right.
Sure. No problem. But I talk about my daily life sometimes, so I don't know it can be helpful for others.
Yeah, I mean, we can't talk about depressing things like violence against women 24/7, I understand. But yeah, this way people can find you if they want to reach out. So thank you so much for this conversation. I hope the listeners found it as fascinating as I did. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it was fun time for me too, and very pleasure to meet you. Because we are working so hard like this, I think before I die, maybe I can see some kind of equal word, please. So keep in touch. And yeah, thank you for inviting me for your podcast.
We hope you found this episode informative. To follow us on social media, click the links in the show notes below. If there is a topic you would like us to cover, you can contact us at redlightexposé.podcast@gmail.com or head on over to our website, redlightexposé.com. There you can also find a donation page if you'd like to support the show. All the hosts at Red Light Exposé are volunteers, so we rely on your donations to continue to compensate our survivor guests and cover operative costs. Thank you for listening. We hope you tune in next time.